Awesome. We are back. This is episode 13, and I got my guest Dana Coleman. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, buddy. Always good to be here. I appreciate it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think that this episode is. I think we should cover what's coming next, which is the fourth quarter. So there's a lot of things happening in Amazon. We just had Accelerate.
Yep.
We're about to ramp up for some of the biggest sales of the year. We got Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, and then all of the issues and fun that come with it. I think that that's a good topic for today.
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. Did you go to Accelerate?
Yeah, I did. I didn't go to a lot of the content. Most of what I was doing was actually meeting with Amazon to try to fix stuff on my account or client accounts. But the one thing that I did go to was the presentation on Seller Assistant. That was the one piece of content that I went to.
What was your takeaway?
My takeaway is I'm cautiously hopeful that you actually get better service from the computer than you do from support. I also think that it's very likely that you will, to the degree that if you have a standard problem and you say, this is my problem, it will go, good, this is the policy, this is what I need, and here's the solution. So, it'll take the uniqueness of whatever issues going on with your account and will actually make suggestions. And based on you approving, based on an approval, it will actually submit the data for resolution for you. Now, never in my 15 years of selling on Amazon have I seen a release like this work perfectly. And I don't think stuff like this works perfectly ever. There's got to be a minimum. They call it an MVP, minimum viable product.
Right.
Right? Like, does it work well enough to release?
Right.
So they'll aggregate a whole bunch of data from people using it. But as I said, I'm cautiously hopeful. I think that for simple problems, there will be simple resolutions that are far, far better and far faster than support, because the humans at support are literally just reading from a script, if they even find the right script,
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Even if they find the right script. Yes, I have spoken to Amazon reps 1,000 times, and I used to tell people, if you don't like the answer, call back.
Yeah.
Because they're not the same, and their level of training, their level to know which script they're supposed to read. I mean, I spoke to an advertising rep that I by the end of the call, I realized that this person knew nothing about advertising, and
Yeah.
it was better just to call back and to find out. And I think in the early days, we used to send out blanket emails. We'd have like a list of emails that sometimes would solve a problem. Everybody would always throw that Hail Mary to Jeff at Amazon.
I've done it
And
before.
funny enough, sometimes he would respond. It would never say like, yeah, we're going to solve your problem, but somehow it did get resolved. And just to give a little bit of, just to point out the issue we were having. So I was in China, I think it was 2017, something like that. We were meeting with manufacturers. And during Christmas, we had this wonderful experience of getting our Amazon suspended every day for no reason. And so we would scream, we would yell, we would call. No resolution of any kind. They gave us the blanket answer because they know less than you do.
Yep.
And we started sending out these emails, and we put together a template, and we got it down to the point where, because we got shut down for 7 days in a row, that we would send it and we'd be back up in an hour. And it was so weird. It was so weird. So yeah, I'm very aware of the issues at Amazon when it comes to customer service, and they even came out with a service. So if you would like support from somebody who has an IQ over 100, that was $2,500 a month plus a percentage of sales, and you could escalate things SAS core, but it would still require that you would you still had to still know what you were doing. It still required a team that knew how to ask the correct questions and when to escalate and when not to,
Yeah.
because on their own they still didn't do anything. You're basically paying $2,500 a month plus a percentage just for somebody who was intelligent. So I very much understand. So now,
So I've got a lot of clients that use SaaS, and roughly 75% of them are extraordinarily unhappy with the service that is delivered by their rep. The other 25% are extremely happy with it. But I found out, and I don't like, this is just from a rep at Amazon. I can't see, I don't have any proof or anything to back this up, but from a rep at Amazon, I was told there were 5 different tiers of SaaS support. And you could arguably say that you start out with the worst one.
ah,
So here's what bothers me about SaaS, right?
yeah,
And by the way, for those of you listening that don't know what that is, SaaS or SaaS Core, nobody knows why it's called Core, but it stands for Strategic Account Services. And basically, you pay a dollar amount plus a percentage of sales to get a dedicated individual that is supposed
dedicated.
to be dedicated individual to that is your support person. With that said, you still can't use your SaaS rep until you have a case to escalate. So what bothers me about SaaS is that Amazon's support is so crap that they created a paid, slightly less crap support system when they should just actually have a support system that works. And it used to work, but it's so bad now that I've been selling on Amazon for 15 years. I'm still an active seller today. I have never, ever spoken to somebody at support that could legitimately help me on the spot. Well, let me rephrase that. In the last decade.
Well, first of all, it's just humorous, but I have had some good experiences, and so every once in a while, after getting transferred a few times or scheduling a call, I would get somebody who actually cared.
Yeah.
The first thing that I do is I go, Isabel, what are all of our problems? Like I've got somebody who seems like he cares enough to actually go outside of his script and
Yeah.
actually potentially and to try, because I believe that you succeed to the degree that you try. But again, it is probably 1 out of 1,000. I personally don't call anymore because they make me so angry. But that's why
Yeah.
you have a team to do so. But talking about the point that you're talking about, they're switching over to AI. They're switching over to in the beginning. It's probably going to have a lot of bugs. But you fast forward a year, I would imagine probably 10 to 50,000 people get fired.
You think, yeah, I could see that happening. Yeah, the lower level or base level support system. I mean, it makes financially and from a business perspective, it makes sense. Let's say each person cost you $5 an hour. Well, you just saved yourself. Well, I mean, with all costs like
Yeah.
lights and computers and facilities and all that kind of stuff. Let's just say it's $5 an hour.
Yep.
You get rid of 10,000 people. You
Yep.
just saved yourself $50,000 an hour,
Yep.
right? Well, almost. Obviously, you have to have computers and infrastructure, but just so happens that Amazon has those things. They've got servers
Yep.
all over the world, with AWS. So, it's going to save them so much money, and it probably is going to save most sellers, a lot of aggravation.
Yep. Yep. And this is definitely the direction that they're heading, and it's definitely going to lose a lot of jobs. But with AI and with the advent of commercial AI at scale, I think that a lot of jobs are going to be are at risk. So any job that you can teach in less than an hour is not job security. So let me just show you something that Amazon is doing that it goes hand in hand with this, which is lessening the workforce by switching to robotics, right? Robotics, AI, and so this is the kind of stuff that they are doing and have started to do is they're eliminating the staff in their warehouse with robots, and they are already doing this at scale. As you can see here, launches a new AI foundation, model powers robotic fleet, and deploys its 1 millionth robot.
Yep. They just announced that at Accelerate. This was not Accelerate. This was at, what was it called? Partner something summit. Let's see. I took a picture while I was there. It was called, Partner Growth Summit 2025. So that was in the Amelia building in Seattle the day prior to Accelerate starting. And so they announced quite a few things. I'm under a blanket non-disclosure agreement with, they went up and like, by the way, you're all under NDA. Okay, cool. Let's get started. I think they know that stuff is going to leak, but that was one of the things that they were talking about is they deployed their 1 millionth robot. And of course it's going to keep going. And then they're going to fire their 1 millionth employee soon, because they deployed their 2 millionth robot or AI or computer or whatever,
Yeah, to save face, what they did here is that over 700,000 employees have been upskilled through training programs that prepares its workforce for the future. It's kind of saving face to look like they didn't just fire 700,000 Americans, which would be devastating to the economy. What is that in reality? I think that's fluff and marketing. I'm pretty sure that a significant people got fired.
Yeah, so upskilled. What does that actually mean? Well, it just means that they learned skills while at working for Amazon.
Yeah, there really is no telling. So you see that this is happening on the warehouse level, and you know that they have probably equal, if not greater, the same amount of reps for customers as well as for sellers. I would say that the customer side is probably 3-to-1 than the seller side, maybe even 5-to-1, because I think that the big thing that Amazon did right is they put the customer first. If a customer has any problem, I'll just give you an example of one of my experiences. I purchased it was a something to protect the back end of your SUV. And so my sister bought it for me for Christmas or whatever. I put it in there. It was okay. But you know what? I decided to return it. So I called and I took it to UPS, and they said it requires a box. But this item was kind of a uniquely shaped one, and the box was like $40. The item was $40. The box was $40. It was a unique shape. I didn't want to pay that much money, and so I called Amazon and I said, "Is there a place that I can take it with no box?" And they said, "Let me check." And they checked, and they came back and said, "No, sir. Unfortunately, we cannot update this." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not paying $40 for a box." And then they said, "I'm sorry, sir." And I continued to push. And I was kind of curious because I do so much customer service for so many brands that I wanted to see how far I could push it. And so I pushed a little bit further, and eventually she said, "Hold on one second." And she came back and she said, "Okay, you can keep the item. The item has been refunded. You are good to go." And I was like, wow. So just a little bit of push, and that product was mine.
Yeah. So I've done something similar, but if you looked over my shoulder, I'm not going to turn my camera, but I've got one of those expensive Quartet white glass magnetic boards, right?
Okay.
A whiteboard, and it's like I don't know, $300 or something like that, $350, and I got a board, and it was missing. I don't know how it happened because the box internally was not broken, but it was missing one of the anchors to go into the wall. Like the anchors, they push this thing off the wall about 1.5 inches or so. And so there's like these little aluminum things, and then you drill into the wall, you put the aluminum thing, and then you put the bracket, put the bolt through the bracket and stuff like that. So it was missing one of those. And I went to Amazon, and I before I went to Amazon, I reached out to Quartet and I said, "Hey, this is missing an anchor." And they said, "Oh, okay, cool. Where'd you get it?" I said, "Amazon." And they said, "Oh, well, talk to Amazon." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I can do that, but all I need is this piece here. I said, yeah, I'm sorry. There's really nothing I can do for you. Talk to Amazon. So I went to Amazon, and Amazon said, well, I'm sorry, sir, but there's we don't have parts. And I said, well, the company told me to go to you. And they said, and then the response was, I've refunded your full amount. I'm like, I don't want a refund. I want a bracket. and that, like, yeah, they put the customer first, but I tell you what, undoubtedly there's a way to game the system here through support to basically get free products. Undoubtedly there's a percentage of ability to do that, and then Amazon's just going to go like, you literally like get refunded on every item you buy. But like, to me, that was annoying. I paid $300 and some odd for this product, and all I needed was that bracket, probably a 30-cent piece. Well, maybe a little more than that. $1.50 item. And I got refunded $350 because Main Corporation said, oh, it's an Amazon order. You need to get Amazon support. And Amazon said, well, we don't carry parts. So I refunded the entire amount. And then that company just got completely screwed out of a purchase. There's customer support, and then there's a level of, okay, this is just ridiculous. Like, and that's my gripe as a seller, is that I do agree with treating your customers extremely well. I fully agree with it, but not sacrificing unnecessarily, because just offering a refund is not actually handling the situation in all cases,
Yeah, I think that's a call out on two sides. One would be the rep. I think that the rep failed the brand. I know that if you reached out to us and you had a customer service issue, whether it was FBM, FBA, whether it was on Shopify, whether it was on Walmart, we're going to do our best to help you. And so and we know that Amazon's going to do nothing. They actually make it hard to contact the seller. You probably had to do it you probably went to their website or called them, something like that. And honestly, that rep kind of did a poor job. So I think it's a combination.
The rep of Quartet?
Yeah.
Oh, fully. Yeah, that rep. I mean, how easy would it be? You have to imagine a company of this size, they have this stuff on hand. They could have just been like, oh, you need, I wasn't asking for like, hey, I need all four. My box didn't come with it. It was just one, right? Yeah. And it had to have been a packaging error, but the fact that the company that manufactured this stuff says, yeah, no, we don't support our own product if it's from Amazon. It's like, okay, well, that just cost you whatever the cost was, cost you $350. I provided them with my order ID. They could have checked and be like, oh yeah, this guy did buy this thing from us.
Yeah. And the funny part is that if the brand probably didn't get refunded, it's possible that they didn't even know that it happened. And so it's important that you also have a team that looks at broken, damaged items that are not returned in files cases, because Amazon will not remind you, will not let you know, will not do anything to go out of their way to let you know that they owe you money. So that's a very interesting. I have a story that is on the seller side that I thought was just absolutely absurd. I was in England, and we did a removal order, and we received a pallet, not a box, a pallet of other people's stuff. A pallet. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars in cost of goods, and probably $40K in retail. So we called Amazon, and we're like, we just received a pallet of other people's stuff, and they said less than a minute of thinking about it, they said keep it.
Dang, that's wild. See,
yeah. So we sold the items in their buy box, and we capitalized on their mistake.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is how you get. This is why there's billions of dollars of reimbursements happening, is because of mistakes like this. I mean, by and large, Amazon has done an absolutely tremendous job. They have revolutionized e-commerce, and I have to imagine that there are far, far more growing pains with that than even you or I have ever encountered. And you and I have 25 years of experience on Amazon alone, just between the two of us. And we have both managed many brands and many products in many different categories. And at the end of the day, no matter my gripes, complaints, I'll always have them with Amazon. It's still the best place for e-commerce.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, even remotely. Walmart is, in my opinion, the worst platform I've ever sold on. Not only from a sales perspective, and I think that they might be improving that, but
Yeah.
making changes on the platform, just basic stuff is just it's so dinosaur, so archaic. I Everything to me, like, so I used to sell on a platform called Jet, was doing really well. Then Walmart bought them,
Yep.
and it went to crap. So
Yep.
and they're number 2 in the U.S. space. The last time that I checked, and they are not a close second; they're a far second. I still think that Amazon is the way to go. They have the traffic, the customers trust them, and people go on Amazon and they'll trust a new brand with a new product that didn't exist a week ago because of their trust of Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that Amazon is doing, and I thought I couldn't talk about this much, but I found out they actually announced this, a lesser degree of this during Accelerate. Buy with Prime and multi-channel fulfillment are merging. So what I found out is that every team at Amazon has their own expenses, their own profit and loss sheets and stuff like that. So this is how you get teams like, yeah, multi-channel fulfillment does all this stuff over here, but Buy with Prime is only the payment gateway, right? And then some genius, likely one of my friends over there, went, Buy with Prime and multi-channel fulfillment really should merge into one system. And so that's what they're actually doing. How long that'll take, I don't know. But basically, what we're going to get as sellers is we can have a Shopify site, a WooCommerce site, a TikTok shop, Instagram, whatever. And it will all integrate, if you want, with multi-channel fulfillment on Amazon, which means that you have a 3PL in place. But not only that, Amazon, so they say, and they put a diagram up on screen for this, will be integrating with 3PLs outside of FBA and AWD. So what they showed, and we weren't allowed to take pictures of this or anything like that, but what they showed was multi-channel fulfillment via FBA or Buy with Prime to 3PL, and they had an Amazon truck as an image for the last mile. So on one hand, like me personally, I'm willing to pay extra for convenience, right? So on one hand, we've got, this is amazing, Amazon, who used to not let you support. Oh, by the way, Walmart and TikTok were on that list. So,
It's one thing just to add before is Walmart's like they tried to put this little stop in there to try to block people from shipping from Amazon for Walmart, and they said it can't have an Amazon logo. So Amazon came out with this little checkbox that says "do in blank brown box," which so now Walmart packages are still being shipped by Amazon. I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. Please continue.
Yeah. So, well, I believe that Walmart and Amazon have come to an accordance on this. And so MCF, you can use the brown box feature, but they'll fulfill to Shopify sites, Walmart, TikTok, Shein. I never know how to sell it. Some people say Shein, some people say Shein, Shein. So they are going really heavy into the American market still. And word on the street is that they have made a deal with Amazon because they were at Accelerate and they had a massive party as well.
Yeah, that worries me. That topic right there is worrisome. So at Prosper, we met with Shein, however you pronounce it, and we had a meeting with all the team leads, and we went on there, and they introduced us. They showed us their selling to America section of their website, and basically taking items that for selling them for 30 to 40% less, and showing some of these big brands. And some of the things that came up was the product on Amazon. If they see a price at a lower rate, you'll get a pricing error, and they'll take your listing down. And in the beginning, or right now, it didn't seem like they were checking Shein as an issue, but that is going to be an issue coming up, as well as the fact that if they are 30% lower, then and that is not regulated, at some point that's going to drag the rest of the market down as well.
Yeah. I mean, let's just first take into account that Amazon, first of all, it should be illegal that they suppress your buy box if there's a price cheaper on the internet somewhere, right? There are brands that are fairly large that deal with distribution networks, and they don't control the price on these places. So I've got clients that have expressed this complaint to me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that one. But no matter what, if there's a place, like for instance, I used to sell on Shopify until I just went whole hog into Amazon, but I was able to have a price 10% lower than my Amazon price because Amazon, and I would still make 15% more, And so that was a way for me to attract customers away from Amazon, which Amazon doesn't want, which is why they suppress your buy box in the first place if they find a lower price. On the one hand, Amazon says, we're helping you diversify off Amazon, and they are actually doing things to assist that. On the other hand, there's these other policies in place like, well, if you're diversified and we see anything out of the ordinary, we're going to ruin your life.
Yeah. I mean, some brands have a MAP price, and sometimes there's sketchy things, but in this instance, it's not. It was actually the brand themselves selling it at 30% less, which, I mean, from a brand's, you should be able to strategically do that. But
Agreed.
At some point, if we continue down that road and Shein gets the customer market share that they're trying to get, why would you pay more on Amazon if Shein is 30 to 50% cheaper? And I honestly don't want that to happen, because that would just, in my opinion, destroy our economy.
Yeah,
I know it's a debate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a debate. I could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I think, we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. Well, let's talk about some of these fourth quarter things and how we're going to make money this year. I did want to bring up some statistics for the Prime Day that just happened. Let me see if I still got that here. Yeah. So it says here that July 8th through 11th, the last Prime Day, it said that generated $24 billion, which was up 30% year over year. It saw a surge in ad spending, record high traffic across Amazon's AWS services, a 14% increase in items per order, and a record-breaking sales for independent sellers. That's pretty amazing. In your perspective, during Prime Day, the brands that I work with, every brand says, do you feel like it's going as well for other sellers? Are they seeing bigger gains than I'm seeing? Because I feel like I'm not seeing as much. And I felt like in my experience that this year I didn't feel like it was as good. I feel like every year is getting a little bit worse, in my opinion, but probably not getting worse. It's probably just getting more competitive.
Yeah. My situation. So here's my take on this. I'm up this year. Maybe by the end of the year, somewhere between 30 and 40% over last year. So that's a pretty significant increase. But I don't conform to the normal seller profile, because my brand has brand search and I don't run ads. like it just means that my outside marketing has been more effective in driving traffic, right? So the
Yep.
customer base is increasing. People repurchase my products. My I've been selling this product a long time. My top customer, I looked this up in my Managed by Stats account, has paid me over $12,000 on Amazon.
A happy customer is a return customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is why I love doing consumables, because if you can keep a customer, so let's talk about customer acquisition costs a little bit.
Yep.
Like you want to get you are going to have a percentage that you know are going to become repeat customers. Therefore, you know what you can spend to acquire a customer because you know your customer's rough lifetime value. So
Yep.
if you can spend $10 to get a customer, but you're only selling a $20 product, but you're keeping 20% of those people, then the math doesn't math out on this, but I'm just using arbitrary numbers. Then you know that you can go spend $10,000 a month or 10,000 a week or 10,000 a day, and you are going at the end of the year, you're going to come out on top because of your repeat purchases. When it comes to holiday periods and what's coming up, that I don't do any ads. I don't do lightning deals. I don't do discounts. I don't do coupons. I still see a fairly sharp increase in sales, I think, because people are in a buying mood. So, but yeah, I don't know exactly how to answer that. I have customers that have said, yeah, during like Prime Days, for instance, because I think it was 4 days this time. Last year was 2 days. The year before that was 2 days. The years before that was 1 day. It was one 24-hour period. So now it's 4 days, and Amazon every time is like, we've just doubled the amount of sales during Prime Days because we doubled the amount of time, you know? And so these brands, in order to be able to do these deals, they have to give discounts. So smaller brands that don't have the same margins of these massive corporations, it makes me wonder, do they actually make additional profit during this time because they've made more sales, or are they just trying to capture at least temporary market? Some of them, I know that they made less money than they would if they'd done nothing.
Yeah, I think that what I commonly hear and see is that typically the profit is less, but they get their product exposed to a whole lot of customers and get an increased velocity of orders, which in return does have a long-term effect. And so it's almost like doing a search, find, buy, launch in the middle of the year. So it helps
That's
your
fair.
ranking and it helps your growth. It doesn't really
Yeah.
helps your profit. But one thing that Amazon has released that I think is kind of interesting is they did a lifetime value by customer segment that I find to be pretty interesting. And if you go into your subscribe and save dashboard, it'll tell you essentially what is your lifetime value, which gives you an idea of what your customer acquisition could be. And I think that that's pretty interesting. Let me see if I
Yeah.
can show this data for you guys.
Yeah, because we don't do subscribe and save, or at least the last time I spoke to my wife about it, we didn't, because the margins were not so great.
Yeah. So let me get this data here. Okay, cool. So I'm showing an example of a subscriber lifetime value by customer segment trailing 24 months. Now they have things broken down into a few different buckets.
That's
So
cool.
the non-subscriber is a customer who has made purchases from your catalog, but who've never subscribed to any products, which is 4609. Then you have lost, a customer who's previously had subscriptions, but currently have no active subscriptions in your catalog. Then you have growing customers. Growing customers are who started their subscription with their catalog within the past 12 months. Established customers are ones who have had it longer than 12 months. And so it gives you kind of an idea of the lifetime value, subscribe and save, one-time purchase, and it gives you a little bit of an idea of what you can spend. And I think it's very interesting. And I'm a big advocate for subscribe and save. And I know this is kind of just we've kind of kind of went down a rabbit hole that has nothing to do with essentially the topic, but this is the kind of sustainable growth that you can see. And so if you see year over year, you can see last year was at 2,500. Now we're at 6,700. That is a massive growth of just reoccurring revenue that you can see month over month. And if you come down here, you can see that it's $53,000 in just guaranteed revenue. Big advocate for subscribe and save. I think we could go more deeper into this on a different app, but I did want to just show that because we're talking about lifetime value and understanding. But I think the biggest issue with Prime Day is that your margins get cheaper. So when Prime Day first started, it was free. I did it that year. It was amazing. I made $32,000 in a day. Blew my mind. I talked to friends of mine. They made hundreds of thousands, crazy numbers, and it was amazing. And Amazon realized how good it was going for each person, and so they said, you know what? We need to charge a fee. So then they charged a few $100s, and it wasn't as good. And your margins were less. So not only are you doing the minimum 20%, but you're also paying a fee. So it was almost like a lightning deal. You had to sell a certain amount of units to actually even break even and then to make a profit. However, you still kind of have to do it because if you don't do it, then you don't get that boost in sales, that boost in ranking, that boost in velocity. And so it was interesting. And then you fast forward a little bit further. Next thing you know, they're doing it over a week. Some I saw one for 10 days. And it's interesting. But they're testing different things. And in the beginning, it was one Prime Day. And now they've got it. Now you've got the typical one in July, then you've got the fall Prime Day, and then you've got the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which I'm not sure what they're going to do this year, but I will say it's probably going to be the last time they did 10 days. But this one that they're talking about now, the next one, I believe is October.
Prime week, Prime month.
The next fall Prime Day I think was announced, and I think it's is it October 7th and 8th?
I don't remember the date exactly. It is definitely in October, it is coming soon. So since October is, by the way,
I just verified. Yeah, it is 7th and 8th. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just looked at my subscribe and save dashboard. Sure enough, back in May, we had 0, and we are increasing like 5 a week on subscribe and save. So I'm reasonably certain my wife did not turn this on. And so I think that it's just offered now, even though I'm going to have to ask my wife about this because, go ahead.
If you click on the products page, you will see. So it gets added to them. If Amazon sees that it's something that that has good reviews and that people are recurringly buying this product, but if you look, there is a bonus percentage that you can give, and yours is probably set at 0%. So they're offering it, but you're giving 0%.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'm okay with that.
But what happens is your volume goes up, and when your volume goes up, your inventory quantity purchase goes up, which lowers your cost of goods, and you start to scale and make more profit. But it is, I mean, every time you come back to Amazon, there's a new fee for this, new fee for that.
Yeah.
And it's getting more difficult every year. But I will say that what would you do without Amazon? And I mean, TikTok, D2C. Honestly, I think that Amazon, you can take a new business. I just started working with a brand that sells in the apparel, and in 45 days, we're at 40K a month. And there's not too many other platforms that you can do this. And Amazon, to me, still is the best opportunity in e-commerce in the U.S.
I agree.
Yeah. But I'm excited about Prime Day. I'm excited about the holidays. I think that the economy is good right now. I feel like people feel like spending money. I feel like things are good. I think that Prime Day will be good. I definitely do recommend doing it if the margins make sense. I know that there's a one-time fee plus the 20%, and I'm excited. It's always a good time of year. Fourth quarter is always good, and sometimes some products are seasonal. So sometimes we work with like anime products. Sometimes we work with gifted items, and we see a huge boost in search volume as well as sales, and it's always a good time of year. Then we're back at the grind when it comes around spring. In my experience, when I was a seller between Black Friday and like April, May was the good time. Summer through till Black Friday was a little bit slower. I think it was something to do with people going outside and kind of enjoying themselves. And there was a little bit of a lull. But right now we're going into the butter zone, and so I'm excited for everybody.
The butter zone. I like it. Cool.
Awesome. Well, I feel like this is probably a good place to end off. As always, I appreciate you coming to the EP, and I look forward to doing the next one.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.